Suarez at the double. United forward told he can leave. More managerial options for Barcelona and a transfer roundup all coming up in the next few minutes. As I'm your host, Matt Froelich, you are the One Footballers, and this is the Daily News. So first off, and Luis Suarez was at the double for Atletico Madrid as they won 2-1 last night against Getafe. Unbelievably, the goal that Getafe scored was the first goal they've scored against Atletico Madrid in 10 years. 20 games against them since Diego Simeone took over, and they finally managed to score a goal. But it wasn't to be, as Suarez provided the comeback. Now, he's almost been, I don't want to say forgotten, because that's a little bit harsh on Luis Suarez, but certainly there's so many talks about unbelievable strikers across Europe. Of course, the battle between the likes of Ronaldo and Lukaku in the Premier League. Of course, there's Kylian Mbappe, and Messi moved to PSG, and Erling Haaland keeps scoring this, that, and the other. And with one goal in just the first 5 games of the season, Suarez is going a little bit under the radar because his performances haven't exactly been exemplary. And the same thing can be said for Antoine Griezmann. Where does this leave him? I'm not entirely sure why he went back to Atletico Madrid. Part of me thinks he wanted to go back. He had a very good time at the club. He saw what was going to be happening at Barcelona. Kind of jumped ship before he was pushed maybe. Didn't like the whole thing with Messi, this, that, and the other. And the other half of me thinks there's no way he went back to potentially be a squad player. Like, surely he'd want to be starting. Last night, he kind of lined up in a number 10 role just behind Luis Suarez. Is he really going to be replacing Suarez up front? There's also João Felix to contend with. I just felt like he may have got more time at Barcelona, but who knows the real reasons why he left. Anyway, as Suarez returned to Atleti, it hasn't exactly been the best. Like, he's done okay in bits and pieces, but again, last night wasn't spectacular and did actually get brought off in the second half. And like we mentioned, Luis Suarez stole the show. But there is one big striker. I know you're thinking, Matt, you didn't mention all the other big strikers around Europe. I can't mention everybody, but the one I will mention now is Robert Lewandowski, because yesterday he picked up his Golden Shoe award for the most amount of goals in Europe last season with an astonishing 41 goals. Not only that, but 41 goals in just 29 games. A ridiculous record, and yeah, of course, he broke the Bundesliga record for most goals in the season as well from Gerd Müller, who's stood for about 50 years, I think, at 40 goals, and Lewandowski broke it in the last minute of the last game of the season. Next up then, and to another forward who definitely has not had a very good time of it recently, and that is Anthony Martial. Now, not only was he injured towards the end of last season, but he's come back into the Manchester United fold to find out they've made quite a few signings, and he's very, very far down the pecking order. Obviously, Cristiano Ronaldo has come in. Edinson Cavani signed a new contract. He's probably wondering how much game time he's going to get with Ronaldo back at Old Trafford. And of course, they signed Jadon Sancho as well. Not necessarily Martial's position on that right wing, but certainly another forward to contend with. So much so that he's been told he can leave Manchester United in January if his £40 million valuation is met. And for me, this is quite a good deal. Like, I know what you're going to say. Martial in the last season and a bit really has not been up to scratch. I think he only scored 4 goals in the Premier League last season, so 40 million seems like quite a lot. But 25 years old, he's definitely got the ability. He's definitely got his best years ahead of him. And I think for a team maybe just one step down from Manchester United, he'd actually be a good signing. I spoke about it earlier, and the transfer window was open, and I said that actually, if Manchester United will come in with a ridiculous amount of money for the likes of Harry Kane and potentially offer Martial in return, he'd do quite well at Spurs, getting a good run of games under his belt, having a good run in the team and linking up with other attacking players. And I think the same thing could be said at Arsenal. Alexander Lacazette and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang have not started the season well, with just 1 goal between them, and there's been so many links so that both of them are going to be leaving the club. If Arsenal decide to get rid of either of them, they'll get a bit of money for them, they'll be getting rid of a player on a very high wage, and they'll be getting rid of a player in their 30s. And then to replace him with Martial, 25 years old, like I mentioned, 40 million, maybe a little bit steep. They'll have to recoup that money from selling someone somewhere else. But it could actually be a rather good deal. Arsenal have got some very, very good young attacking talents. Can you imagine pairing up the likes of Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard with Anthony Martial in front of them? I think this actually could be quite a good deal. So next up then, and we'll head back to a bit of yesterday's news as we spoke about the new Barcelona manager. Ronald Koeman has not been sacked yet. But last night, President Joan Laporta came out and said that their team and the club need all the support from the supporters, and they know what they need to do to get out of this mess. If you're reading between the lines, it sounds like they do have a plan for life after Ronald Koeman. Anyway, there's been loads more talk. We spoke about quite a few names yesterday about who could potentially be taking over in the hot seat. The first one is Brendan Rodgers. This seems a little bit strange to me. Like, apparently he does speak a little bit of Spanish. I know he's a very good manager and someone who does very well at Leicester. Maybe could move up. It would be a big step. But I'm not so sure he's going to be leaving Leicester, who he's got a very good relationship with, who are going to be pushing, hopefully they think, for the top 4 this season, to go to Barcelona in what is eventually a sinking ship. Maybe he does. I don't know. I can't really see Brendan Rodgers moving at the moment. Elsewhere, there was talk of Roberto Martinez coming in. Again, like we mentioned yesterday with Antonio Conte, a clash of systems will probably affect Roberto Martinez's relationship with the club. They clearly want to play 4-3-3, and we've seen with Belgium that the majority of the time he plays 3-5-2. He is a little bit more versatile than Antonio Conte, who really does like to stick to his guns. There's also the legendary potential return of Pep Guardiola, but I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon, as he says he wants to stay at Manchester City at least until the end of his contract, although President Joan Laporta has apparently not given up hope of luring the 50-year-old back. And lastly but not least, there's Xavi. We spoke about Xavi yesterday, how much of a dream it would be for him to take over, and former midfield partner Andres Iniesta was speaking yesterday and said that Xavi is definitely ready to take over the role. Surely this one's going to happen. Sooner rather than later, hopefully for Barcelona fans, but I'm sure that eventually we will see Xavi take the reins. Finally then, we come to a quick roundup of the rest of the day's transfer news and news that you might have missed. And Bernd Leno will be up for sale in the January transfer window after the form of Arsenal new keeper Aaron Ramsdale. Chelsea were reportedly ready to offer 100 million euros for Marquinhos in the summer. Manchester City are still keeping tabs on Mikel Oyarzabal from Real Sociedad. And lastly but not least, in last night's Carabao Cup action, there were big wins for Manchester City, for Brentford, for Burnley, for Liverpool, but unfortunately for Everton and Watford, they were on the wrong end of a cup upset as QPR and Stoke both beat them respectively. That's all from me then. Check out everything else we've got going on, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.